I've forgotten to all right. So for Jaden and Koji, rather, um, you would have presented some relatively new information. Um, I would have learned, and I'm not saying that it's wrong. Okay, I'm not saying it's wrong. Um, I suspect that with more modern um, analysis and all that, your information um, would have differed from mine. Basically, I always thought that Shigella, um, the disease incubation period is like 1 to 7 days. All right, um, and the minimum effective dose was like 10 to 12 cells. But you would have mentioned 10 to 100 cells. Um, that is not wrong. All right, because various texts will give us various various texts will give us various figures. But the important point that was coming out was um, that it has a very high infectious rate, or yeah, the infectious dose is very very low. All right. In other words, between 10 to 100 cells will make you ill. Now, both of you, what are the preventive measures? What are the preventive measures to deal with the organism as well as the disease? What are the preventive measures? Give
So
me
you can
at
repeat
least.
that, sir?
Pardon?
You can repeat, sir?
Repeat the question.
Yes, sir.
No, I'm asking what are the preventive measures, all right,
Oh,
to deal with the organism as well as disease. Give me 3 preventive measures.
wash hands with soap.
Of course.
Um, watch smaller children when they're washing their hands to make sure they're washing properly.
Okay, well that's still one. You still talking about washing hands.
Right. And don't.
Disinfecting areas where you would change a baby's diaper.
Okay, all right,
And
yeah,
don't eat no food that from someone that was infected, recently infected or is infected.
okay. I thought you also would have told me like to cook the food properly. Once we cook the food properly, we can kill the organism. All right, but
Yes, sir.
um, those 3 points are accepted in the majority of people, especially mothers, would come down with sugarlosis because of carelessness when it comes to changing diapers. And obviously, you have to wash your hands, and you have to make sure that your fingernails are properly washed, because you could pick up the filth or those organisms under your fingernails and transmit them to any food that you are preparing that you're preparing. All right.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So yeah. So thank you very much for your presentation. Anybody has any questions for the two students? All right. So the the name of the organism is what?
Shigella, sir.
And the name of the disease is what?
Sugar. Sir, I can't remember how to pronounce that, sir.
Yeah.
Shigellosis.
Right.
Right.
Shigellosis. All right. So with Shigella, you take off the A and you add on OSIS. Shigellosis.
Shigellosis. Right.
Right. So Shigella is the organism. Shigellosis is the disease.
Thank
So
you, sir.
based on Another question, based on the information that you gave, when you said that the incubation period is how long again?
I said it was, well, I said it depends on if the person was ill before, that it'd be, um,
It could last up to, we said that it could last up to like 5 to 7 days.
Right. You said it will last up to 5 to 7 days, but we are saying between ingesting the organism and becoming ill, what is that period? How many days? Is it one day, 2 days, 7 days, etc.?
A few days,
or
A few
1
four,
days.
to 2
4
days
more
after
weeks.
contact.
Okay. So what would you call this, an infection or an intoxication?
Intoxication,
An
yes.
infection.
All right, one body say infection, the other body say intoxication. Give me a reason, both of you.
Or it's an intoxication because sugar comes from, you know, um, I don't know how to explain that, but
From Phil?
yeah.
Okay. All right. Um,
Right. So I said infection because usually you will see the symptoms of the infection not too long after contact a bacteria.
okay. All right. You give me a little half half rate answer. All right. With infections, all right, the incubation period is long. All right. So 2 days is what we call a long incubation period. So remember that you are consuming the organisms. Then the organisms are going to make you sick. It's going to take a little time. So that is why we classify sugarlosis as an infection. The incubation period is long. You will have a fever, and you also would have consumed bacteria. Remember that. All
Yes, sir.
right. Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. Shaquan and Jenna and Leah, you ready?
Yes, are we ready?
Okay. You sharing your video, sharing your PowerPoint. I give everybody the opportunity to share the PowerPoint. Okay.
Hello. What are you doing? Go back.
Okay. I'm going to tell you when to start. All right. And you can send your PowerPoint presentations to me. All right. At rylerock at gmail.com.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. So you're ready. This is Shaquan and Jenna and Leah. You ready?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Go ahead.
Vibrio cholera. What is Vibrio cholera?
Mm-hmm.
Vibrio cholera is a gram-negative common-shaped bacterium. Its bacterium's natural habitat is brackish or salt water. Some strains cause the disease cholera. Vibrio cholera is responsible for epidemics and pandemic cholera outbreaks.
Transmission and source. Illness generally results from consumption of these seafoods raw, improperly cooked, or cross-contaminated by a raw product. Cooking may kill these bacteria and it can grow in shellfish that have been contaminated after cooking. Infections can occur from ingestion of water, ice, unwashed contaminated food, and seafood. Symptoms: abdominal discomfort, diarrhea, vomiting, severe fluid and electrolyte loss, tachycardia, hypertension, dehydration. These symptoms occur a few hours to 3 days after ingestion.
Thirty. You're moving.
Are you moving?
You're moving.
Okay.
Yes,
All right.
between 12 hours and 5 days for a person to show symptoms. Cholera affects both children and adults. Most symptoms can be successfully treated with oral rehydration solution. Severe cases will need rapid treatment with intravenous fluids and antibiotics.
You have a fan blowing near you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Without rehydration therapy, the disease has a 30% to 50% mortality rate. With timely treatment, the fatality rate is less than 1%.
Effective. The minimum effective dose required to cause illness is the ingestion of 1 million organisms. Our source is the bad, the bad, the bad book, the bad book.
Bad bug book. Okay. So you're finished?
Yes, sir.
All right. Okay. So we're talking about Vibrio cholera. All right. But because I did Latin, I would call it Vibrio cholera. All right. And it causes disease. What disease it causes again?
Cholera.
Cholera. All right. What is the minimum effective dose again for cholera, Vibrio?
1 million organisms.
1 million organisms.
Yes, please.
Uh, and you would have gotten that from our source.
Yes.
Bad book.
Yes, please.
Okay. All right. Yeah. When it talks about the mortality rate, what are talking about?
It talks about the frequency of occurrence of death.
Okay. All right. So you talk about mortality rate. So when you're talking about COVID, you talk about mortality rate too. All right. There is,
yes, sir.
There's also the fatality rate that they speak about. All right. Now, based on what you would have researched, and you said that the minimum effective dose is 1 million cells. 1 million cells. All right. 1 million organisms. Would you say that this is very, very effective or not very effective?
Taking into the fact how small the organisms are, I think it's very effective.
Give me that again. I didn't hear that well.
I think it is very effective.
Okay. Do you think it's more effective than Shigella?
No, please.
You say yes, please, or no?
Wait, it is, sir. Wait, when you say effective, do you mean that more people can get it?
No, I mean how fast you can catch it.
Oh.
Remember that
Sir, because this can take a few hours to like 2 days.
Okay. All right. Um, so this is an infection or an intoxication?
An infection.
An infection. Why?
Because it's a type of bacteria.
Mm-hmm.
And most of the time you ingest it,
Yeah. Okay. There's bacteria that you will ingest, and it would take like up to how many days again? A few hours. It can take a few hours to 3 days. All right. So
Yes,
yes.
sir. We had that.
Okay. So yes. Um, depending on the load that you consume. Everybody understand that? When it's the load that you consume, depending on the amount of organisms you take in, the incubation period could be short, or it could go to 2 days. So let us say you drank water that was infected with the organism. Depending on how much water you take in, it also depends on your immune system. You can get ill very, very fast, or it would take a little time before it starts to overwhelm the body. So yes, it's an infection. Vibrio cholera is very, very devastating. All right. Probably you might have heard me talk about sorry. Probably you would have heard me talk about we had a bout of cholera in Barbados, Asiatic cholera in 1853 or 54. All right. That's why when I when COVID when COVID started up last year, and people from the university said that up to 1,000 people are going to die. I was very, very concerned because in 1854 we had over 230 people dying a day at the height of the cholera outbreak. 23,000 people died in Barbados in 6 months. All right. So I was very, very concerned. Um, so cholera can be extremely devastating. Cholera devastated Haiti, and anytime you have a suspect cholera victim in Barbados, health officials are extremely concerned because it can spread, and if it is what we call, it can spread in a I'm looking for the word. Anyhow, a virgin population, a population that is not accustomed to to Vibrio cholera, can easily be overwhelmed with cholera and a cholera outbreak. All right, so it talks about an epidemic, it talks about a pandemic. So when we talk about pandemic, it means all over the world, like what COVID got, we know, shut down. Epidemic would be like in Barbados. All right, epidemic confined to the country, but when it starts to spread to other countries quickly, we call it a pandemic. All right. So thank you very much. All right. Just hold on a minute. All right. Aisha is here?
Yes, sir, I'm here.
Okay. And Shanice?
Yes, sir.
Everyone is
Okay.
here.
Okay. So you set up your presentation on E. coli.
Sir, can you see my screen?
Yeah, I can see it now. Yeah, I'm seeing it. Let's put it into slide mode. Okay. All right. Okay.
Okay.
All right. You ready to start?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
Sir,
Go ahead.
okay, good evening. My group will be doing Escherichia coli. The members of my group are Aisha Boyce, Paul and David, and myself, Shanice. So, y'all may be wondering what is this disease. So, according to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, Escherichia coli, also known as E. coli, is a large and diverse group of bacteria. Even though most E. coli are harmless and are an important part of the intestinal tract of humans and animals, some E. coli are pathogenic. We all know what pathogenic means by now. It means it can cause illness, whether it be diarrhea or illness outside of the intestinal tract.
How is E. coli transmitted? E. coli can be transmitted in many different ways. It can be transmitted via food. These foods are, for example, ground beef, lamb meat, and unpasteurized milk and apple cider vinegar. It can also be transmitted via water, such as the drinking and swimming in contaminated water. It can also be passed through direct person-to-person contact. I will now hand it over to Shanice, who will be discussing the transmission process.
All right, so the transmission process of E. coli is basically like a cycle. It starts where the contamination of water, the environment, the wildlife, and agriculture, production animals. After production animals consume those stuff that I just listed, E. coli is transmitted through the environment, the water, and stuff. And after the production animals such as the cow, chicken, pig, etc., after they consume those stuff, they could carry E. coli. And from the production animals, after they have been taken to the avatar to be slaughtered, E. coli could be transmitted to humans after they consume these meats. It can also be transmitted through person to person and direct contact with domestic animals. Like, for example, if you come into contact with your pet, like playing with it and stuff.
Major sources of E. coli contamination are beef products, which usually enter the beef production cycle, and dairy cows, which are slaughtered for hamburger production. What are the immediate symptoms of E. coli? The first symptoms of E. coli infection is sudden onset of abdominal pain and severe cramps, which are followed by diarrhea that may range from watery to grossly bloody, and other symptoms which are fatigue, loss of appetite or nausea, vomiting, and fever.
Long-term consequences of E. coli. These consequences can vary. For example, high blood pressure, kidney disease, and cardiovascular disease. It also affects children and adults. For children, it affects them in the renal failure, anemia, dehydration, and it is termed as HUS. In adults, they can have spontaneous bleeding, organ failure, and mental changes, termed as TTP. These complications can lead to permanent disabilities or death.
Sorry about that. Minimum infection doses. E. coli has a very low infective dosage, which is estimated to be in the range of 10 to 100 cells, and the incubation period whereby E. coli symptoms can last between 2 to 9 days in uncomplicated cases with average of 8 days.
Okay, so ways in which to prevent E. coli. Some of these are good hygiene, having good hygiene, therefore making sure your hands are washed, especially after dealing with livestock. Also, wash your hands before eating and drinking and after changing diapers. Other ways to prevent E. coli are separating contaminated clothing, isolate infected persons, cook meats thoroughly, and prevent cross-contamination in food preparation. For example, again, washing hands, make sure you clean the counters properly and the cutting boards, especially after dealing with raw meats. And also clean utensils after using them to cut raw meats and stuff.
You should drink plenty of water to avoid dehydration and get lots of rest. Do eat low fiber foods such as crackers, toast, and rice. You should never use antibiotics or over-the-counter medications for diarrhea, as you can slow down your digestive system. Remember, there is no cure for E. coli. It has to resolve itself. E. coli awareness. Clean care for all. It's in your hands. Hashtag hand hygiene.
Hashtag infection prevention.
And hashtag health for all.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Thank you very much for very detailed presentation with respect to E. coli. You even call the words probably Escherichia coli. I was really impressed. All right.
Sir, that word had me beat, but with practice, I get it right.
Same here, sir.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So you told me that some of them are infectious, others are not infectious. Can you give me the name of the one that is very, very infectious?
Sir, would that be the interhemorrhagic one?
Okay, all right. Yes, that's the one that is E. coli 0157:87.
Yes, sir.
Right. You know the name of the man that discovered the interhemorrhagic whatever? Yeah.
No, sir.
No. Well, you were calling name the whole evening. The man named Escherichia. All right. Now, this particular organism was he discovered. Okay. All right. Done. Done. Hey. You know. All right. You will play to you then. Okay. E. coli was known for a long time in the 19th century to be part of the gut. It used to reside in the gut. It was part of the flora inhabiting the gut. But it was only within the last 30 to 35 years that scientists discovered that it was causing a lot of problems. All right, Rihanna? Oh, sorry. So what would have happened is that only within the last 35 years or so, they realized that it would have caused a lot of problems. All right. So you would have mentioned, Pauline would have mentioned about beef. All right. But within the last 10 years or so, yeah, 10 years. Yeah, within the last 10 years or so, green leafy vegetables would have been implicated. All right. So what would have happened is that people were irrigating green leafy vegetables with cow's manure, and so people came down ill.
We
Yes,
mentioned vegetables as well.
Yeah, Aisha mentioned vegetable.
right. So people want to improve the yield of their vegetables. They introduce animal manure, cow's manure, but causing problems for the consumer. All right. So it looks like you're dumb if you do, you're dumb if you don't. The important thing, what again are the don'ts? Do not do what? Do not
Okay, antibiotics are
why?
used over
Why?
the counter medication
Why?
because it could affect the your system, and
Okay.
some
Remember we were
antibiotic
watching.
medications are not good either.
Remember when we watched the video? It said that the little fella took medication, but it didn't affect anything. Sorry, it didn't affect it. It caused more harm than good. So as you rightly said, um, E. coli must run its course. It must run its course. There's no medication that,
The antibiotics may make the diarrhea worse too.
of course, of course. All right. So okay. So tell me, is E. coli an infection or an intoxication?
Sir, I would say it's an infection.
It says infection. How about that Shanice or
It's an infection as well. Sorry, I said
okay? How about you, Pauline?
Can you repeat for me, please?
Is it an infection or an intoxication?
It's an infection.
It's an infection. All right. But this is how it behaves, okay? When it gets into the intestines, it starts to produce toxins. Hence, yes, it's an infection because you're dealing with bacteria, you're dealing with a long incubation period, but because it produces toxins in the blood, they call it a toxical infection. All right, a toxical infection. So I would like to thank you all for. I would like to thank you for doing a very good presentation and doing some nice research with respect to Escherichia coli. All right. Indica and Jonathan is here.
Yes, sir.
Okay. You're dealing with Bacillus cereus.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Okay. You sound ready.
Mhm. All right. So the disease we are doing is Bacillus cereus. This is done by Indica Kelman and me, Johnson Murray Lewis. Uh, Bacillus cereus is Bacillus cereus causes food poisoning. What is Bacillus cereus? Bacillus cereus is a gram-positive fat relatively
Facultatively
yes, what you said, sir. Anaerobic.
anaerobic.
I know how to say that word, sir. I'm not
Okay.
that bad. Endospore forming large rod.
Okay.
Transmission. Disease, Bacillus cereus, food poisoning is the general description of illness associated with this organism. Although two recognized types of illness are caused by two distant metabolites toxins, the diarrheal type and the vomiting emetic type.
Sources for the diarrheal type are milk, vegetables, and fish.
Sources for the emetic type are rice, potato, pasta, cheese, sauces.
There's also puddings, soups, casseroles, pastries, and salads.
Onset of illness. The diarrheal type is 6 to 15 hours, and the emetic type is 30 minutes to 6 hours.
Symptoms of the diarrheal type are watery diarrhea, abdominal cramps, and pain.
Symptoms of the emetic type are nausea and vomiting.
Nausea in the gut. Nausea. Complications are pyogenic infections, gangrene, septic meningitis, cellulitis, and
Cellulitis.
cellulitis. Yes, thank you, sir. I forgot how to pronounce it. Sir, would you like to assist me here?
Anophthalmitis. First ever saying that one.
Panophthalmitis. Thank
Okay.
you.
Complications continued, long abscesses, infant death, endocarditis, and in cows, bovine mastitis. Mastitis.
The minimum effective dose is 104 to 109 cells per gram of food, and for the emetic type, it's 105 to 108 cells per gram in order to produce the sufficient toxin.
The length of the disease is 24 hours.
Our sources were the Bad Book.
Okay. All right. Okay. So we're talking about Bacillus cereus. All right, Jonathan and Indica.
Yes, sir.
Right. You talk about the diarrheal type and the emetic type. Could you describe for me what you mean by diarrheal type?
As in, it may cause diarrhea or it may cause the emetic type, which is vomiting.
Right. Okay. Okay. So when you talk about the diarrheal type, you get diarrhea. When you talk about the emetic type, you get vomiting. Yeah. Everybody hear me? All right. Now you introduce.
No, sir, you're stuck.
Pardon?
You were second just now, sir, so we didn't hear you.
Okay, all right. So we talk about the diarrheal type and the emetic type. The diarrheal type is when you have diarrhea, all right? The emetic type is when you have vomiting. Everybody get me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. You introduced something there to me. You said that you know, I always teach that Bacillus cereus is an aerobic spore-forming organism, but you said that it is a facultatively anaerobic endospore. All right, you want to explain that? The facultatively anaerobic. Explain that. Jonathan? Indica? Indica?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You want to explain facultatively anaerobic?
Yes, sir. It is an organism that makes ATP by aerobic respiration if oxygen is present.
Nice Google. I found Google. You Google that?
Yes, sir.
So where else do
Okay.
you think we were gonna get the answer to that from?
All right. So remember that I said I would teach that is an aerobic spore forming organism. All right. In other words, I'm saying that it will only live and survive in oxygen. Now, when you say it is a facultatively anaerobic endospore, you are saying now that it is a facultative anaerobe, meaning that it will survive with or without oxygen. And when we talk about an endospore, we're talking about the hard crust that is formed around the organism to protect it from heat and other harsh conditions. All right. So I believe that is new information coming out. All right. I always thought that it's an aerobic organism. This is the first time I'm saying that it's a facultative anaerobe. Things can change. All right. Yeah. So you would have mentioned all of the sources, but remember that it is also found in the soil. All right. And majority of those things that you would have mentioned, whenever they are processed, this organism, because of its ability to survive harsh conditions, will survive. So it will survive baking. It will survive the food process. So that is why when we have those foods and we're using those foods, we have to make sure that we cook the food properly and that we store the food properly and cool it down in the recommended way. We talk about protocols. Everybody know that word now. Now the protocol for Bacillus cereus is to cook the food. If you're going to be using it for the next 2 or 3 days, cool it down quickly, and then you store it in small containers and place it in the refrigerator or the freezer. Those are the standard operation procedures. Those are what we call the protocols. Everybody understanding me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. So I learned something new today. All right. But as you would have said before, you have a diarrheal type and you have an emetic type. You have a type where you have diarrhea. You have a type where you have vomiting. All right. And it will last, on any normal person who is sick, any normal person who is sick, it will last just 24 hours. But in those 24 hours, you can lose a lot of electrolytes and salts that are vital for the functioning of the body. Hence, we have to make sure that we don't become dehydrated. All right. All right. Again, you would have brought some information that was new to me. All right. Thank you for your presentation.
You're
All right.
welcome, sir.
All right. Derek is here. Derek. Oh, okay. Derek and then we'll do their presentation later. How about Shem and Shem Jones and Bob? You ready?
Of course.
All right. Sound very confident. you gonna give me 8 minutes?
I doubt that, but we're gonna give you something, sir.
All right. You got to answer my questions too. All right. Bob is here. All right. So you can start sharing your screen.
All right, so you ready?
Yeah, go ahead. All right, you can
Okay.
start. Yeah.
All right, hello, good evening, everyone. My name is Shem Jones. Myself and my colleague, Mr. Dondre Bob, are going to present our presentation on Trichinella spiralis. So what is Trichinella spiralis? Trichinella spiralis are parasitic roundworms. These worms have larvae which reside in animal, muscle, and skeletal tissue. The larvae infects other animals or humans that consume those animals.
Yeah. Yeah. So who? All right, hold on. Um, 237. 237. Yeah. 07. 73. All right. All right.
Hey, so you need us to start over?
Yeah, hold on.
All right, no problem.
Yes, start over, please. Yes, start over. Sorry about that.
That's okay. All right. Good evening, everyone. My name is Shem Jones. Myself and my colleague, Dondre Bob, will be doing a feature presentation today on Trichinella spiralis. Now, what is Trichinella spiralis? Trichinella spiralis are parasitic roundworms. These worms have larvae which reside in animal, skeletal, muscle, or tissue. The larvae infects other animals or humans that consume them. This is a diagram showing the life cycle of the Trichinella species. It varies with the classifications used as there are multiple types. I've listed a couple of them. Some of them are, as you will know, Trichinella spiralis. You have Trichinella pseudospiralis, Trichinella nativa, Trichinella morelli, Trichinella nelsoni, Trichinella britovi. You have the Trichinella pulpia and Trichinella zimbabwensis. Okay. So the adult worms are encysted larvae developed within a single vertebrate host and potential intermediate hosts. Right, a second host is required to perpetuate the life cycle of Trichinella. So they must have a second host in order to multiply, as they mate a male and female larvae. They mate and produce several other Trichinella offspring. The domestic life cycle, as we can see in the diagram, is mostly involving with pigs and other anthrophilic rodents, mice, rats, but other domestic animals also can be as a result, like horses as well. To the bottom, we have the sylvatic cycle. In this cycle, the range of infected animals is much greater, but you would see more so animals associated with human infection are like bears and moose and wild boar, or what persons call game.
Um, Shami, you're still there?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Sir, Dondra was talking, but it just seemed like real low, so we could have hardly heard what he was saying.
I didn't hear him either.
Sir, you heard anything that I said?
Yeah. You
Oh,
were
I
loud and
just
clear.
making sure, right? Just making sure.
Yeah. I'm not hearing Bob though.
He said his mic is on.
So I
Right.
believe he needs to turn off his mic.
His mic is off now.
Sir, we can improvise, sir. We can improvise.
All right. Oh, you want to go ahead for him then?
It working now?
Yeah, that's Bob.
Yes, please.
Okay.
You getting feedback, sir, because it's a WhatsApp call.
Okay.
Okay. The larvae of these worms reside in the animal. Oh, I gotta turn on the. Alright, this gonna work now. The larvae of these worms reside in the animal skeletal muscle, and in fact, other animals or humans that consume them. Trichinella species are parasite infections that are simply caused by consuming undercut or raw meat, usually pork or other mammals like wild carnivores or horses can be reservoirs of the infection. Other Trichinella species generally found in animals such as domestic pigs and partially in wild animals and are passed through the food chain. Okay, let's see. Right. Transmission of this infection is a foodborne disease caused by microscopic parasite called Trichinella. People can get this disease by eating raw and or undercut meat from animals infected with the parasite. Very often, these infected meats can come from wild game or pork products, and the disease is not transferred from person to person.
Okay, sir. So according to statistical analysis done on disease outbreak data, our source would have been the big bug book.
Bug book.
Bug book. Right. So we found that ingestion of 5 of the larvae could have a 1% chance of the disease symptoms being seen. The ingestion of 10 of those larvae resulted in a 7.5 chance of symptoms being seen, while an ingestion of 100 larvae resulted in a 45% chance of symptoms being seen. Okay, so with the early onset of symptoms for trichinellosis or trichinosis, it may cause earlier or mild gastrointestinal symptoms if many larvae are consumed. As I would have said in the previous slide, it takes more larvae for more symptoms to show faster, right? Some of these symptoms include nausea, fatigue or tiredness. You get abdominal pains or cramping in the stomach as well.
Immediate symptoms are acute symptoms being 1 to 4 weeks after consuming the contaminated meat. These are facial swelling around the eyes, fever, weakness, and muscle pains. A question that can be answered is how long can the disease continue to affect the infected? Trichinella or trichinosis begins to appear a few weeks after the initial infection. Larvae producing females are inactive and eliminated from the intestine by the patient's immune system. Acute symptoms associated with the newborn larvae migration begin to subside over the course of a few weeks, a direct result of the larvae becoming dominant in the skeletal muscle.
So a couple of long-term consequences of the infection. This could lead to the larvae actually encroaching on the heart, brain, or lung tissues. That is also followed by inflammation, which could also lead to death. I think it was about a 0.2 chance of persons actually dying from being infected, but deaths have been recorded or attributed to the infection. Some complications usually develop within the first 2 weeks of infection, and they're way more common and prevalent with heavier infections or persons who have consumed more of the larvae through the contaminated or tainted meats. Should this be left untreated, the parasites would die within 2 to 5 years. They would become hardened by deposition and turn into an insoluble calcium compound. So they would calcify and get hard and crusted. Additionally, the consequences of trichinosis, they also include constant muscle pains and impaired muscle strength. So your muscles actually start to deteriorate as the infection damages the tissues. And that's the end of our presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. You have done a good job on trichinosis. Remember the parasite is called what?
The parasite is hello.
It's called what?
Trichinella spiralis.
Spiralis, right? And the disease is called what?
Hello?
The disease is called what? What's the disease called?
Man, there were two diseases. The trichinosis and trichinosis, right?
Okay, so remember, you spell trichinella, take off the A and put on OSIS for the disease.
Okay.
All right, everybody heard me?
Trichinosis and
right. Now, remember that the source will be in rats, and what will happen is that rats and other animals, but predominantly rats. All right, you will get the pig eating the rat, and then when people consume undercooked pork or raw pork, then they can come down with the disease. Now, normally the larvae, the encrusted larvae, when it gets into your stomach, the hydrochloric acid in the stomach will cause the larvae to wriggle out of the its encrusted state. Now it is so small; it's just about the same size of a red blood cell. That is why it can travel through the blood, the veins, and go to the skeletal muscle, like your arm. All right. It can also travel to your heart. It can travel to your lung. It can travel to your brain. So it can, and also to your eyes. I had a colleague that went to Jordan and ate some undercooked pork, and he had to get extensive medical attention in order to rid him from this parasite. They thing give him like piles. All right, when you go to stool, you give him diarrhea, and blood will be in the diarrhea because of straining. All right, so that's the only case I would have seen in Barbados. All right, but basically when it's found in pork, you have to freeze the pork for long periods of time and cook the pork properly. All right. Um, so that was a very good presentation. Then some good research. Trichinosis is an infection or intoxication, Shem.
Is an infection, sir.
An infection. Okay. There are no toxins involved. All right. No toxins involved. There's a long incubation period. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. Jade and Tashana is here.
Yes, sir.
Okay, you ready?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Ready.
Coronavirus.
Good evening, everyone. I hope everyone's having a good day so far. Our group consists of a two-person group with Tashana, Daniel, and Jay here with. And our topic of discussion will be the norovirus. The norovirus are environmental hardened organisms that not only can be transmitted by food and water, but also can be transmitted through person-to-person contact and persons with environmental surfaces.
How does it transmit? Some other ways to contract the virus is by eating food or drinking liquids that are contaminated with the norovirus, touching surfaces or objects contaminated with the norovirus, and then putting your hands in your mouth. By accidentally getting tiny particles of poop or vomit from an infected person in your mouth, or having direct contact with someone who is infected with norovirus, such as caring for them or sharing food or eating with the same utensils as them.
The source of this virus is mainly by two components, by food or water. You can receive the norovirus by eating food from you can receive the norovirus by hello, everybody can hear me, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
We can hear you.
Sorry. Right. The source of the virus is either by food or water. You can receive it by food, by ready-to-eat food that is handled by ill food workers or by shellfish or oysters. You can get from multi-source of water such as spring water, commercial ice, lake water, swimming pool water, and many more types of water.
What are the immediate symptoms? Some immediate symptoms are explosive projectile vomiting, headache, low-grade fever, chills, muscle aches.
Onset of the illness. A mild brief illness usually develops between 24 and 48 hours after contaminated food or water is consumed. Mediation in outbreaks is 33 to 36 hours, but on onset time within 12 hours of exposure have been reported.
The infective dose is very low. It is estimated to be as low as 1 to 10 viral particles, and the particles are excreted at high levels by both symptomatic and asymptomatic people.
How long does the disease last? How long does the disease really last? Symptoms generally persist for 12 to 6 hours with a mean period of 24 to 48 hours. Most people report feeling better within 1 to 2 days. However, for hospitalized patients, immunocompromised people, and elderly, vomiting and diarrhea generally resolve within 72 to 96 hours. While for non-specific symptoms such as headache, thirst, and vertigo could persist up to 19 days.
Vertigo.
We got our source from the Bad Book book.
Okay. All right, noroviruses. Noroviruses, those are parasites, viruses, or bacteria, pathogens.
Viruses?
Yeah, noroviruses, yeah. Noroviruses are what? Viruses?
I just said viruses.
Okay, okay, they hear you, sorry.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Um, all right. It talks about, you talk about projectile vomiting. What do you mean by that?
Sir, that's not like when you vomiting so much that sometimes you keep, well, like it was like a lot that's come out, and sometimes like you have got the feeling that you want to, but nothing is coming up.
You sure it is that?
That's it's like when you vomit a lot.
Um,
Yeah, that's not when the vomit is like extremely violent, like a lot.
okay, it's shooting out like how when you press a fountain, how the waters come out. The vomit is shooting out of your mouth. That is why those persons that are around are liable to come down with noroviruses, the norovirus. They're also those persons who clean up the vomiters. Those persons who take care of the person can also contract noroviruses. And you realize that it sounds something like coronavirus. You realize that?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. It behaves the same way. That's why I believe, right? I believe that every time you go on a cruise ship, somebody is gonna come back with coronavirus because it operates the same way. I have never been on a cruise. All right, my family went on a cruise, but I always tell my family, whenever you go on a cruise, do not touch the surfaces. So tell you hold on on the railings. No, do not touch those surfaces because the not parasite, the virus can survive on those surfaces. So they tell me that, no matter what time of day or night is, you have people cleaning the surfaces because they're trying to get rid of that particular virus. And coronavirus behaves like that. The last ship that left here to go on a cruise came back with people with coronavirus. And no matter, this is not only in the West Indies, all over the world, people are having serious problems with norovirus. All right. It is one of the most, is the leading cause of illness from contaminated food or water in the United States of America. Viruses, noroviruses. And we have problems here in Barbados too. All right. So what are the preventive measures? Anybody? What are the preventive measures? Either Jade or Tashana. Pardon?
For norovirus?
Yeah, for the norovirus. What are the preventive measures?
Wash your hands.
Hello?
Should wash your hands frequently.
Wash your hands properly, yeah. What else?
Like this infect surfaces and so on.
Yeah. How about it just escaped me. All right.
So I can say washing your foods and vegetables and stuff properly.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Or also avoid contact with people that have it.
Yeah, and also you have to watch the type of shellfish we consume. All right, you have to watch the type of shellfish they consume because the shellfish can pick up the virus from contaminated waters. Hey, shut up. All right. Yeah. Um, Whenever we place sewage water into the sea, all right, the shellfish will filter out all of those viruses. And when people catch those shellfish and consume them, they're liable, they're at risk of coming down with the norovirus. All right. Okay. So later, thank you very much for your research on noroviruses. Legit is here.
Yes, sir.
Ariana?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. You want to go ahead? Go ahead.
Very, very.
I can hear you loud and clear.
It presenting or it's still showing?
It presenting.
All right, good night. Today our presentation will be on salmonella, the organization also known as salmonellosis, the disease, by the Jada Phillips and myself, Brianna Yearwood. In the start presentation, we'll be learning a few things about the salmonella, which will be also, we'll be learning the definition, the transmission, the source, some of the symptoms, the minimum dose, how long it lasts, and how it's prevented. The definition of salmonella is a type of bacteria that affects the intestinal tract and is caused by consumption of contaminated water or fluids. The transmission of the disease is it can be also spread through the mouth-to-mouth contact. It is sharing a glass of juice or saliva, example kissing. It can also spread through food handlers who do not wash their hands properly or through dirty surfaces areas or eating raw and uncooked foods. The source of salmonella, it can be found through many foods such as beef, chicken, eggs, fruit, pork, vegetables, and much more.
Immediate symptoms. Some of the salmonella symptoms are vomiting, nausea, abdominal cramps, diarrhea, fever, chills, headache, and blood in the stool. Long-term consequences. The long-term consequences of salmonella are pains in the joints called reactive arthritis. Now, reactive arthritis is just another term for joint inflammation that develops as a reaction to an infection in another part of the body. Characteristics are redness, swelling, pain, and warmth in and around the joint. Onset of illness. The onset of salmonella symptoms occurs 6 to 72 hours, usually 12 to 36 hours after ingestion of the disease. The minimum effective dose. Minimum effective dose doesn't have a limit. Once you have consumed the infected food, you will get the disease. Now the length of salmonella, of the disease. The symptoms generally last 2 to 7 days, while diarrhea may last up to 10 days, although it may take several months before both return to normal. Now, a few varieties of salmonella bacteria result in typhoid fever and sometimes deadly disease that is common in developing countries. Prevention. Wash your hands. Wash raw fruit and vegetables before eating. Keep raw meat and poultry separate from produce and other foods when shopping for and storing groceries, and prevent cross-contamination. In conclusion, in this presentation, you have learned about what is salmonella, where it comes from, how it's transmitted, some of the symptoms that happen to a person with salmonella, the minimum effective dose, and the time period of disease. With the information you have now learned, take into consideration and protect yourself. Thank you for watching.
All right, so the only persons that are supposed to do presentations would be Derica, Jared, and Rhea, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. All right. So just quickly, all of you would have done well with respect to the research and all that. One or two of you, what should I say? One or two of you understand how to set out PowerPoint presentations. All right. So and PowerPoint presentations. All right. You normally have like three or four, the most 4 points on your slides. All right. And you will use like a larger font, and yeah, you use a larger font rather than have a lot of information on the slide. But basically, majority of you would have created your own slides, put in pictures and images, which was nice. You would have gained some points from doing that. All right. You want to help me out? All right. Okay. So, this say on YouTube, you know. So come close. All right. So basically, I would have placed in the chat for you to go to quizzes.com, www.quizzes.com. Everybody did that?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
No, sir.
Wait, is. Huh? Okay, hold on. All right.
Sir, we can hear you.
Okay. I was getting some instructions. Okay. All right. I'm going to share my screen. Share sound. All right. Yeah. Everybody can see that?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Okay, so there we go. Go to joinmyquiz.com. Okay, so everybody go to joinmyquiz.com.
Sir, you have to click on the link first again. I just type in.
Yeah, no, don't click on that. You click on that link. Okay, so. Yeah, just type in joinmyquiz.com.
Okay. So you could put the link in the chat or.
Pardon?
You could put the
But
link
that's
in the
not
chat
gonna
or.
work for everybody if you on a laptop. Just
anybody got quizzes downloaded on their phone?
Yes, sir.
So got open on another tab on the laptop.
No, sir. My phone don't have space for me to download that.
Oh. Okay. All right. If you have it on your phone, you could just type in that, right? But otherwise, just type in the number 139. Okay. So put in your right names. Put in your right names, please. But this is just a little test run. Yeah. All right.
Sorry, sir. I put my nickname.
All right. But remember, next time, put in your right name, okay? All right. Two persons are in. 3. Okay. About 16. 16, yeah. I don't know. All right. All right, 10 people in. Twelve. I see, yeah. Oh, yeah, she, yeah. She, come on. Anybody having difficulty?
No, sir.
Okay. All right, so I just have 12 persons. Oh, 13. Yeah. I know. You want me to play? Yeah, hello? Yeah, hello? Yeah, not too bad. All right, hold on, please. Hold on. There we go. Hold on. How many people in now? Everybody there? All right, hold on a minute, students. Just hold on a minute. All right, 250 2616. Yeah. All right. All right, hold on, please. Hold on, please. Yeah, go ahead. All right. Okay. All right. So everybody in. I'm going to press start. All right. You're going to get a countdown, and then you're going to have. I can't remember how many questions, but this is just a test run. All right. So we can start now. You can hear me? Oh, I can't hear me. We can hear music. Okay. What you're saying?
The questions. It's
Okay.
waiting for
Wait,
others
sir,
to
I,
answer.
I still seeing waiting for the host to start.
They say others are still answering.
Got it? Okay. Okay. Everybody inside?
No, sir, I can't see my questions.
Okay. All right.
Refresh your page.
No? Let me go back again. Oh. All right. That because I hear it. All right. All right. I know. Full screen. Well. This everything. Oh. Two people out. Two people trying to get in. Me here. Yeah. I know. All right. All right. I'm going to end the question. All right. I'm going to end the question. I think it. Oh, okay. Oh, I didn't know that. Go back. I can get back. All right. All right. Okay. All right. Sorry. How you get back out? I only got 12 minutes. All right. What I'm going to do, I'm going to end the game. All right. And I'm going to start back over. All right. Everybody hear me?
Yes,
Yes, sir. That's cool. I get that question wrong.
You might start upon a rule, sir.
Huh?
Start upon a rule, sir.
Okay. All right. Let me exit. Yeah. 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 Good. Good. Videoquizzes.com. All right, I did. Yeah. So back to the game. That's whoever got whatever they so. Okay. So back. Back. Videoquizzes.com. So back. We want to get back to your lesson. All right. All right. Hold on. Quizzes.com. All right.
Sir, what's the code again?
All right. Just hold on. And you can get a new code. What happened? Quizzes? Yeah. Yeah? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right. You're lazy. And the brains right now. We get that from? I just pick up that from. No. Huh? Wait. Are you getting run? Yeah. Let's pick it up, man. Classes. No. Oh. About there later. Last time I trivia and for then just to get any hang of it. Man. All right. Made geography trivia? Yeah, do that. Okay. Tell them that this is fair. All right. This is not complete. Just finish editing. Good. Finish editing. Okay. Publish. Good. Mm-hmm. So you start a live quiz. Start a live quiz. Yeah. Class it? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I didn't do that. Yeah. No. All right. Continue. Hold on. You gotta send it. So you got a class there. Send that class. You don't got classes there, right? Oh. Continue. Right. Send this now. Find my kids and send that. Tell them what you do. Okay. I just trying out something. You okay? Tell them. Is there food safety?
Yes, sir.
All right. So,
Yeah, I
yeah, I can share. All right, you can see that now?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. So this is
All
a
right.
new code that we have to enter?
Yeah, a new one. This is a new one. It's just a general quiz, all right? All right. Oh, okay. I didn't know that. All right. No choice. Mm-hmm. All right. 14 people in. 15. All right. Okay. So I'm going to start now, okay? You got something here? Wait, wait, I think you know what happened. Shem, what happened to you, man?
Man, we could do that, man.
Shim? Y'all can hear music? Concentrating hard. Okay. Okay. That will happen. Bad start, boy. Aisha?
Yes, sir. I might be doing the wrong quiz. They're asking about dream job and stuff like that.
About what?
Dream vocation.
Oh,
So
no,
I think
this,
I
this,
don't.
this is not a full safety quiz. It's just, uh,
Oh, okay.
I just experimenting.
Okay.
It look like you're not working. You now cooking with gas. Jade, I hear what happening?
Sir, I don't know.
You ain't got no questions?
Sorry, done right?
You done? No?
Yeah, so I
Sir, I
finished
don't
now.
like this.
Finish?
I done this one here, sir.
Sir, I answer no more questions, so you can sit down.
Yeah.
Sir, this is not good.
It's just a trail. Okay. Nine persons finish.
I was real confused because I wanted to know what is how to do the class. I was like, this is the right place.
Okay. No, I had said earlier that it's not going to be a full safety quiz. I had made a mistake in the first attempt, right? So the faster you answer the question, the more points you will get. All right. 11 persons.
Sir, I done.
You done? Hmm? Oh, I think Aisha.
Sir, that was difficult.
It was difficult. Okay.
Yes, I was excited for the food
Okay.
quiz.
All right.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna give you a full safety one next week. All right, to see how you handle it, and then I can give you the real thing.
That was fun.
That was fun. Okay.
But I want more than 30 seconds to do a question.
You need more than 30 seconds?
Yeah.
Yes, sir. That was under word pressure.
All right, that it was like,
All right. So everybody need about how much time? You need
you need to put notes in it.
say like a minute?
Yeah, a minute
Yeah,
good.
but a minute,
Yeah,
sir.
a
Just in
minute
case
good.
I gotta turn to the second page on Google.
Okay. All right. So I will adjust the quiz for a minute. All right, everybody done? One more? Yeah, everybody done. Well, Bob jumped almost to the to the
Bob,
top.
slow down, Bob. Where are you going? Where are you going?
All right. So next time, boys, you can say get to the top, you know. This boys try get a try, man. Right, Bob at number one. Bob, the you at 0. Go ahead. You done? Okay. All right. So Bob first, Jonathan second, and Jenna third. All right. Somebody like the. Okay. You can see the screen here now.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is going to um. Hmm? I hear. Okay.
Tell me how we get 100% yes.
All right. So Bob got all right. Um.
He do any mini minimal.
so question 6. Give everybody trouble. Yeah. Question 6. On 4. Yeah. So I'll be able to see which questions would have given you a lot of trouble. All right. And go through. No, you stop. I can pay you. All right. Everybody got question 7 right. All right. Um, but number 6 gave um, how much percent? 71% of persons trouble. All right. All right. Let me look at questions. Um, question 6 as well. Um, which of the following animals are native to Australia?
Sir, at first, right, I highlight 2, and then it was a third one. So that's probably why everybody must be highlight a lot, but one was
Yeah,
missing or 2 was missing.
yeah, that was a crocodile. What was that? It was a crocodile, right?
Yeah, it was the crocodile that was missing because I
Yeah.
highlight the kangaroo and that other animal you're point 3.
So, koala.
Koala, something.
You good go with that pronunciation, not me there.
All right.
Good on you, Mike.
Pardon? All right. So everybody get the idea, right?
Yes, sir. It was fun.
Okay.
Sir.
All right. So when you get all the music and every sort of thing, um, it's going to be much more fun. All right. Um, somebody come in a top up.
Murder.
That had be $1,000 top up, sir.
A
The
$1,000
price has
top
gone
up.
up. Price has gone up.
Okay. Yeah. So I'd like to thank you all for participating in the program in the class today. All right. Let me just